He was betrayed by his closest allies in his party and marked as a traitor, but he returns back 20 years later as the strongest hero killer. Zell was one of the 14 lances of the Empire who were the heroes that fought and protected the country, but things quickly go south when the Emperor sends them on a deadly weapon. Out of the 14 heroes, 3 die in the journey, while 7 of them run for their life against the strongest enemies, but Zell and 3 of his friends were not cowards and bravely fought against these unbeatable odds, even winning the battle for their country. While they were on their way back through some thick jungles, they were ambushed by the 7 heroes who ran away, and Zell alongside his 3 tired friends were quickly outmatched. The 7 heroes killed Zell's friends while slashing him across the eye as well, but he somehow survives. The 7 lances are later known as the 7 heroes, while Zell and his friends are called the 4 lances of betrayal, as the 7 heroes announce that Zell and his friends ran away from the enemy. 20 years later, the capital city is well guarded by the monastery to prevent any of the peasants pass through. Every single day, several people who try to enter the border illegally are hanged and killed publicly, and this day was no different, as the chief monk Raz hangs 4 peasants before ordering their death. Soon he hears some noise coming from behind and finds out that one of his guards have found another illegal immigrant who's just a little girl. Raz, however, is the ancestor of Trump and has no sympathy for immigrants, as he orders her death as well, but thankfully, Zell appears behind her, claiming that she is his sister as he tries to walk away with her. Raz isn't fooled so easily though, and claims that now both of them will be executed. Before Zell could do anything though, a tall man with blue hair appears behind them and grabs both of them up, pretending to be a relative, as he apologizes to Raz and bribes him with some gold coins. This strategy works, as Raz lets them leave while the blue-haired man tells them that they can't enter the borders so easily without any planning. He claims that he himself has paid a lot of money to the smugglers and has planned this extensively, so they should stay out of the way and make no trouble. He looks at the girl named Pee and asks why the hell does she won't enter the borders, while she sadly replies that there is nothing left for her back in her village where everything was destroyed. Suddenly, Zell pricks his ears as he hears people coming, so he picks Pee up and yeets her into the stream below before telling the blue-haired man to get his weapon ready. The man was confused, but soon 13 guards emerge from behind, completely surrounding them as they ask for even more money. Zell realizes that the monastery is just a front, as only people who donate a lot of money are given permission to cross the border. Soon one of the guards decides to attack, but without any hesitation, Zell splits him in half with just a single slash of his sword. This really shocks the blue-haired man, since he doesn't know that Zell is one of the former heroes, and as more guards attack him, Zell makes quick work of them as he slashes through all of them effortlessly. Once the guards were dead, he throws them all into the stream below, while the blue-haired man looks at him impressed and asks for his help. He introduces himself as Weed and promises to smuggle him and Pee inside the borders as well. That evening, all 3 of them get transported through the stream in a small boat, which takes them to a shady tavern. Zell starts drinking like my alcoholic uncle, but soon Wide directs him into a room to meet the head of smugglers, named Altia. Altia turns out to be a beautiful woman who starts asking questions before telling Zell that tomorrow is the last chance to see the 7 heroes and get their autographs, since they are leaving to suppress a civil war on the borders. This catches Zell's attention, as he wants nothing more than to take revenge on these cold-hearted killers. But before he can ask anything, a man enters the room and claims that the monks are in the tavern with weapons. Altia quickly walks out, while Raz, the head monk, claims that he has gotten news about this tavern being a den of smugglers. Altia quickly denies it, but Raz brought one of the midgets she helped get in, who completely rats on her in order to save his life. It was all for nothing though, as the monk decided to practice their baseball skills on his head, killing him immediately. An all-out brawl breaks out as the monks attack everyone, while Raz manages to get his hands on Pee and swears to make an example out of her. Wei tries to fight his way through, but before Raz could hurt Pee, Zell arrives from the balcony and slashes the ropes to a giant boat which falls on top of them, monks killing several of them, while also freeing Pee in the process. Zell gets up to count the remaining monks, while Raz screams at him that defying the monks is equal to defying the 7 heroes. But Zell isn't a simp for the heroes and claims that it's a bonus for him, as he kills another monk with a single slash. Raz quickly escapes out, and soon sirens start ringing in the city, which means that the security has been tightened. Altia claims that they will have to lie low for a couple of days now, but Zell claims that he will get into the capital no matter what, since the heroes will be leaving tomorrow. Altia gets impressed by his determination and claims that there is one secret route that the monastery doesn't know about, and they can use that. Soon they start running through the dark tunnels while killing the small goblins that attack them, when they soon emerge into an opening. To their horror though, a giant goblin emerges from the darkness and blocks their way. Altia starts getting PTSD, but Zell wastes no time as he tries to attack the monster head-on. Unfortunately though, the monster's skin is too hard and his sword does nothing, while the goblin grabs Zell in his fists and punches him into the wall. Zell lays there unconscious while Altia starts freaking out, claiming that they are all going to die, but Y doesn't give up and throws a metallic ring at the monster's head, knocking him back before using the ring to trip the monster over. As the monster falls to the ground, Y starts looking for an escape route, but soon the giant goblin gets back on its feet for round 2. Wade shoots his ring at the monster's head once again, managing to crack the tough skin, but this time his luck runs out as the monster grabs the cord and flings him into a wall, knocking him to the ground. Altia manages to save Peepee's life, but now she is stuck without any way to escape. Just as Wide thought all was over though, he notices a bright light above him, where Zell was lying unconscious. Within seconds, Zell jumps onto the monster's head before slashing it in half with a single strike of his sword. Altia is shocked at the boy's strength, while Zell tells Weed to get up as they have a shit to catch. Just as they were about to leave though, Zell senses danger and tells everyone to get back as a magical slash completely evaporates the body of the monster. Zell is shocked but soon finds Raz on the ledge above with a tall man who seems to have a magic sword with him. He realizes that the situation might quickly get out of control and tells Wade and the others to stay back while Raz explains that this man was also a smuggler before, but now he works for them. The tall man then picks up his sword once again when Zell notices a fairy tied to the handle screaming in pain, which was creating those magical attacks. The man swings his sword, creating an aerial slash, but Zell bravely intercepts the attack and slashes it in two, surprising both Raz and his hired killer. Zell starts crying like a little bitch after that, screaming at them to stop using the sword, which confuses White and Altia, but Peepo also notices that the fairy seems to be in extreme pain whenever the magical attacks are used. Raz laughs at Zell and tells the man to finish the job, but the man sheaths his sword back, claiming that he was paid to make sure they weren't able to reach the ship, and now they are too late to catch the ship, which means his job is done. Raz immediately begs him to stay and offers even more money to incapacitate Zell completely, so the man agrees and takes out his sword once again, attacking Zell with all his might, causing the cave to collapse. Zell drops down to a lower level of the cave where he gets up injured to find Raz standing, who claims that he knows Zell's race gets energy from the moon, but at this level of the cave he can't see the moon anymore, which means that he is done for. Immediately a bunch of guards emerge with weapons and surround him completely before attacking him together. Zell quickly gets back to his senses and dodges the attacks effortlessly, before landing a sword slash at one of the guards, who barely manages to block it. Zell seems impressed and realizes that these guards are definitely strong, while the guards get scared by Zell's incredible strength. Raz tells them to attack again, but this time Zell quickly dodges and lands ahead of them, forcing Raz to run. Zell chases after him while the guards follow him, but before they could attack, Zell stabs his sword in the ground, causing his surrounding area to burn with a purple fire, which immediately melts all the guards into a mess of melted metal and burnt body parts. Raz is too shocked to even speak and asks how did Zell know about a trap that even he was unaware of, but Zell calmly replies that he has visited this place many times in the past. He throws him through the next door and walks in where he finds another high priest sitting near a statue. Zell calmly bypasses him and goes near the statue while the priest screams at him to back off, since even the 7 heroes are not allowed to come here, as this is the resting place of Erdnak, the servant of the heroes who sacrificed himself to protect the city by creating a magic circle, after the 4 lances of betrayal betrayed the kingdom and were killed by the 7 heroes. Zell laughs at that as he starts talking quietly to the statue of Erdnak, claiming that a great man like him is being called a servant of the heroes today. He remembers the time just before the 14 heroes were about to leave on their last expedition, but Zell went with Erdnak to the underground caves to make sure that the city was properly defended, while the other 13 heroes went ahead into the forest to face the enemy. Tears fall down Zell's eye as he tells the statue of Erdnak that the man who he thought was his best friend was laughing the most when Zell and 3 other friends of his were being hacked to pieces after the ambush. He screamed that those bastards just wanted to claim all the glory of the victory for themselves, and that's what happened as they were celebrated after they returned to the kingdom as heroes and got all the money and fame that they could ever need. After getting that out of his system, Zell stands up again and takes out his sword to activate another magic circle, when the high priest starts screaming at him to stop and tells Raz to stop the boy no matter what. Raz, however, is a total bitch, so the high priest shoots some hidden darts at Zell, but he is too fast and blocks the darts while slashing the magic circle in half, destroying it completely. The high priest watches in horror as the entire monastery starts collapsing, and soon enough, the entire border wall made by the magic of Erdnak collapses into nothing, opening the gates to the capital city to everyone. This immediately creates a riot as every single peasant starts rushing to get inside the city, where they find Raz climbing out of the debris still alive. Raz thankfully locates the tall man with the magic sword and offers to pay him anything he wants to protect him, But the man refuses the offer and walks away, letting the angry mob have the corrupt priest. Zell slowly walks out of the tunnels, remembering Erdnach sadly, and vows to kill the 7 heroes, while on the other side, Weed tracks down and stops the guards of the monastery from escaping on the last ship, while Zell himself steals a dragon-type Pokemon or some shit as he flies alongside the ship into the city. Meanwhile, inside the city, the wealthy and the elite shiver at the sight of the collapsing border, but the soldiers tell them to calm down as the 7 heroes are still in the city and will protect them no matter what. Zell straight up makes his way towards the heroes, but he lets his rage take control of him and pays for it when the archers of the kingdom are huge fans of Game of Thrones and shoot the dragon down with extreme ease. Zell, with his small angry brain, didn't think that this would happen, so he isn't able to regain control as his flailing dragon smashes into the ground below, surrounded by people and guards. Zell, however, is not fazed by it as he gets out of the crater to everyone's surprise and looks towards the entrance only to see it being opened as one of the 7 heroes named Glenn comes out alongside his guards. Zell immediately gets PTSD from the time his friends got slaughtered, and without a second thought, he takes out his sword and tries to slash Glenn's head off. To his surprise, however, his sword stops just before reaching his throat, and he realizes that one of the guards threw a magical dagger near him, which freezes him completely. To everyone's surprise, though, Zell still manages to move his arms a little even after being stopped by one of the strongest magic in the world. Unfortunately, though, Zell is vastly outnumbered as the guard quickly lock him up with their wire cuffs, completely stopping his movements while he struggles to breathe. His sword drops to the ground, and soon the entire public starts screaming for his blood, begging Glenn to kill the boy as he dared pick up his weapon against one of the great heroes. Glenn slowly makes his way towards the trapped Zell, but just when Zell thought that his quest for revenge was over before it began, Glenn ends up surprising him as he turns to the public, claiming that it's just a little kid from the borderlands outside the city and has probably faced a tough life in the hood, so he forgives him for this act. The crowd goes silent, but soon erupts in cheers for Glenn the Merciful, who is so saintly that he would even forgive a person who tried to kill him. This completely breaks Zell as he realizes that Glenn and the others have already achieved what they wanted to get. After killing his friends and almost killing him, they have amassed so much respect and fame that they are the ones basically running the entire country. He stands there in the rain all alone and with a heavy heart, starts moving into the forest when suddenly Daenerys Targaryen herself swoops down on a dragon before picking him up and flying into the sky. Zell submits himself to his fate as Dany takes out a weird-looking sword and was about to stab him when Weed rear-ends her with his airship. Unfortunately, though, the airship was made by Boeing, so it crashed immediately, but it was enough to save Zell's life for a while. Dany gets up once again and takes her sword out as she angrily moves towards a broken Zell, but before she could kill him, Pee-Pee jumps in the middle, telling Dany to leave the man alone. Dany angrily tells her to move out of the way if she wants to live, but Pee-Pee stands her ground. To her surprise, this absolute psychopath swings her sword at the little girl, almost killing her. Pee-Pee falls to the ground and was about to be shish kebab when Weed calls Dany a princess. For once, he was not being homophobic, as it turns out that Dany was actually a princess of the same clan as him, dressed as a soldier. She screams at Wade to stay back as this white-haired pipsqueak took her brother's life. Wade is shocked by this, while Dany immediately tries to stab Zell through Pee-Pee. Zell, however, gets up in a trance and saves Pee-Pee while getting stabbed in the leg. Before Dany could even respond, Zell gets in her face with his dagger and breaks her helmet before putting the blade to her throat. Dany is shocked and pisses herself as she collapses on the floor defeated, while Zell falls to the ground unconscious. Weed quickly takes all of them to a small refugee camp near the city so that Zell could recover, but Dany wouldn't hear of it as she claims that he killed her brother Krat, the leader of the clan, which means that he needs to die, but Wade stops her, claiming that her brother was his leader as well, and he knows that Krat wouldn't want her to go on a pointless revenge streak. Zell overhears all this and gets up before throwing his sword at her and telling her to kill him, but all he gets is a jaw-breaking punch from Weed, who tells him to get a hold of himself as he can't back out of a quest so easily. He then turns towards the dragon and tells her to chill out as well, since he thinks Zell can help them find her older sister who went to a neighboring kingdom to negotiate for peace, but was kidnapped on the way. Zell tells him that he is weak and can't do anything, but after a small pep talk, he agrees to help Weed find the girl. A couple days pass by and Zell still seems depressed when Pee-Pee runs up to him and claims that she found some people from the same race as her, so she would stay with them and set up a village. Before he could reply, though, Zell grabs his sword as he feels a strong presence, but Pee-Pee calms him down, claiming that it's just the Centurion who is a good guy and has been helping her. Weed overhears the noise, so he comes out of the tent when his eyes go wide as he remembers that this bald mofo was one of the guys who abducted the princess of his clan. He immediately throws his ring towards Baldy, who quickly grabs it, claiming that he is very demure and mindful, and would never do anything like that. Weed, however, isn't convinced yet and starts roasting his bald head and the cream puff attitude, which angers the Centurion, who snaps the rope easily. Weed is shocked, but before they could do anything, a little boy named Zephy, who is the same race as Pee-Pee, runs towards the Baldy, asking for his protection as he gets chased by 4 men. The Centurion punches them to sleep, but soon enough a large group of bandits arrive, telling the Centurion to hand the kids over. The Centurion tells them to piss off and takes out his dagger, which has the crest of the hero Landgrave. He tells them to back off as he is working under the hero's command, but one of the bandits walks up and takes out his own dagger, which is a bit bigger than the Baldy. The Centurion gets insecure, while the bandit leader claims that he is on a secret mission on the same hero's command, so he should back off. The bandits soon start closing the distance, while the Centurion wonders what should he do, but before anyone could touch Pee-Pee, Zell slashes them in half with a single swing of his sword. The bandits are shocked by this and decide to attack him all at once, but Zell moves quicker than a snake as he slashes through all of the bandits without even breaking a sweat. The bandit leader starts getting nervous as he starts showing his dagger, claiming that the hero would take revenge, but Zell slashes the dagger in his hand in half. The bandit falls to the ground and tells the Centurion to help him, but the Centurion stabs him in the other arm, asking him to tell the truth. Before they could do anything though, a man named Fargo appears out of nowhere and asks what's happening. The bandit immediately runs towards him, claiming that he did everything he said, but before he could say anything else, Fargo slashes him through the neck, killing him immediately. He claims that the dagger was stolen a month ago and must have landed in the arms of these bandits. He then walks towards Zell and claims that he is a good fighter, while the Centurion thanks him for saving them as well. Wyatt, on the other hand, is still not convinced though and asks Fargo why the hell did they kidnap the first Princess Sharon. Fargo looks at him and claims that they have her perfect fine and it was necessary to prevent a war. He claims that he can't release her yet, but they can arrange a meeting. Later that evening, they manage to beat the remaining bandits and free the prisoners, after which they head down to sleep, while Wyatt and Danny head out towards Fargo's manor to arrange a meeting. To their surprise, however, they are quickly surrounded by the same bandits that Zell killed that day. Wade is horrified as he realizes that this magic is from the Shadowlands, which transforms dead people into zombies. An all-out brawl breaks out as both him and Danny try to fight their way out of the zombie horde, but no matter how many of them they chop, the zombies simply regenerate once again and attack. Fargo watches them quietly from the window and decides that both of them are as good as dead, so he leaves the manor and moves towards the camp to finish Zephy and their entire race's bloodline. He enters their tent only to find them sleeping, but unfortunately for him, the parents end up waking up. He quickly kills the mother before the father starts wrestling him, but Fargo quickly overpowers and kills him as well, leaving the sleeping Zephy alone unguarded. Just before he was about to kill him though, Pee-Pee screams at him from behind as she saw everything and tells him to leave him alone. Meanwhile, Donnie and Wyatt are completely trapped by the zombies who are ready to eat them out, but soon Danny remembers that she is the dragon and calls her stupid dragon, who saves them once again. Danny then nukes the zombies before flying away to safety with Wyatt. They soon return back to the camp where they find Fargo kicking the shit out of poor Pee-Pee. Somehow, even after all this noise, Zephy is still fast asleep. Fargo laughs at her pathetic attempt to save the boy before using his dark magic to create a monster out of Zephy's dead parents. By the time Zephy wakes up, he gets knocked out once again on the ground. Fargo then turns towards Pee-Pee and was about to kill her, but Zell arrives just in time once again, blocking the attack easily. He looks at the monstrosity that Fargo had become, but he already expected it since he was the second in command to the evil hero Landgrave. Zell quickly uses his own magic, which creates a bunch of tentacles out of his ass with swords, which helps him to make quick work of the zombie before turning towards Fargo. Fargo is beyond shocked to see this, as he has no idea how can a boy be so powerful. Zell, however, doesn't skip a beat and soon chops off Fargo's arms as well, but during the commotion, the entire camp finally wakes up and, looking at the horrifying scene, immediately assume that Zell had gone berserk and killed Zephy's family before hurting Fargo as well, who tried saving them. They run at him with sticks and stones, while Zell wonders whether he should just kill them and be done with it. But thankfully, the dragon arrives in time and rescues him away from all this bullshit. Later that morning, Pee-Pee tries to make the camp leaders understand that they got it all wrong, but obviously they refuse to believe the words of a stupid little girl. Meanwhile, Danny apologizes to Zell for trying to kill him and claims that she wants to help him in his quest as well. Soon after, they depart on the dragon's back straight towards Landgrave's castle to corner him and get information about Sharon, but Landgrave seems to have alerted his guards and they have formed a mini army surrounding the castle. The moment they are spotted in the dark starry sky, the Dragon Brigade immediately launches into motion, chasing after Zell and his party, while the archers get ready to take potshots at him. As if this wasn't enough, the guards decide to call in the big guns, and soon a huge artillery machine emerges from the castle. Wheat is shocked to see that, but Zell looks at the machine with nostalgia as he remembers the time when he and Landgrave were young and were tasked to create this magic weapon from scratch. At that time, the Empire was on the brink of ruin because of enemy attacks, and this weapon was their last line of defense. Landgrave was the chief architect of the weapon, while Zell, the strongest swordsman in the country, was supposed to protect this place from enemy raids. Back in the present, the Dragon Brigade starts chasing them directly into the artillery's line of fire, while the archers shoot relentlessly at them. Wag gets confused since Zell is not fighting back, but it's hard for the little hero to strike back as all these soldiers used to be his trusted comrade once who fought alongside him. He tries to find an opening since he doesn't want to kill any of these innocent soldiers who are just following orders, but he needs to do something if he wants to come alive out of this situation. He takes out his magic swords and gets ready for a fight when the artillery cannon finally charges up and fires a massive blast directly at them, but to everyone's surprise, Zell moves straight into the artillery blast before slashing at it with his sword. The guards think that they have killed the little hero, but soon Danny's dragon emerges out of the smoke and starts flying away. The Dragon Brigade follows it only to find out that Zell and his party are nowhere to be found. Realizing this, the entire castle is sent into disarray as everyone starts looking for these rebels, but Zell knows the entire castle like the back of his hand since he spent so much time in it and finds the secret passageway in no time. While running through the narrow passages though, they end up coming face to face with the bald centurion who stands in their way, confused since only Landgrave's closest allies know about this secret way. Zell and the others grab their swords, telling the baldy to move out of the way, but to their surprise, a little poof starts crying as he claims that he saw what kind of a monster Fargo was and is ashamed to admit that he worked for him for so long. He claims that Landgrave and Fargo are planning something very evil, and he cannot support it anymore. He also claims that he was the one who captured Princess Sharon and brought her to the shrine. Wade gets angry at this and grabs him by the neck, but Zell tells him to chill out. Centurion promises to take them to the place where he left the girls and dresses all three of them in a maiden's costume. Soon he leads them through a series of tunnels to reach a large gate where a bunch of masked men tell him to leave the girls with them. This time, however, the baldy tells them to call Fargo as he wants to talk to him. Scared by the big bald man, the masked men quickly went back to get Fargo with them, who slowly comes out with an injured arm. He realizes that something seems to have gotten into the Centurion's brain as he starts asking what he was doing with the girls and wanted to see it for himself. He starts crying and reveals that he saw Fargo kill Zeffie's parents at the camp, but Fargo is smart and starts gaslighting him just like my ex. He claims that Zeffie's parents were enemies of the kingdom, so he was forced to kill him. The baldy seems to lack a brain as well as hair as he immediately believes it and tells Zell and the others that it was just a misunderstanding. Fargo immediately realizes that the intruders are here and stabs the Centurion twice in the body, but before he could finish the baldy off, Zell jumps into action and blocks the attack. Fargo falls back as Zell jumps towards him, but he manages to block the little hero's attack at the last moment. Realizing that in his weakened state, it would be difficult to take Zell on, he decides to lay a trap for him and offers to make a deal. Zell, however, is in no mood and claims that he will kill him right here, and then take the maidens back to their places. Fargo, however, laughs like a maniac before revealing that he has converted almost all of the girls into living zombies. Zell gets consumed by rage and immediately attacks Fargo with all his might, but the bastard manages to block the attack before going on the offensive, forcing Zell on the back foot as he tries to defend himself against the countless tentacles. Zell is pushed back once again while Weed tells him to use his own black swords against this monster. Zell replies that he can't use all of his powers when he can't see the moon, which means that he is at a big disadvantage here. Wee realizes this and immediately jumps in to help, followed by Danny, who goes in the other direction, creating a pincer attack from both sides. Fargo easily sees this and laughs as he decides to ignore the other two losers and focuses all of his tentacles towards Zell. Thankfully, Zell manages to evade the attacks once again, but Fargo finds an opening and disarms Zell before stabbing him in the arm. Fargo was about to finish the job when the Centurion throws the special dagger with the Landgrave crest towards Zell. He catches it easily, and to Fargo's horror, he takes out the dagger and jumps towards the monster before stabbing him in the head, ending his story then and there. Zell gets up once again and without another word tells Weed and Danny to follow him to the next room while they leave the Centurion to cry over the dead Fargo. Soon they enter into the inner vault where the shrine is located, and they spot Landgrave standing there with the masked scientists while Sharon the princess is tied to an altar while some weird tentacles suck the life force out of her. Zell starts doing what he does best, which is slashing anyone who comes near him. while the scientists tremble with fear. Landgrave, however, still doesn't seem too worried as he tells them to continue their work. But soon Weed and Danny also enter the chamber and immediately head towards Sharon. They kill the remaining scientists and free Sharon off the altar where she lays barely alive. Landgrave gets furious and shouts at them that he is the hero who saved the kingdom and every one of them from the evil hands of the enemy empire, and they should kiss his feet for that, instead of fighting against him. But this only makes Zell sadder, as he wonders whether there was ever a time when Landgrave used to be a noble warrior. Landgrave still doesn't recognize Zell and wonders why this kid is looking at him with such pity, but before he could understand who he was, Zell attacks him with a swift slash. Landgrave, however, is much faster than he looks as he dodges the attacks with some monkey moves and lands back on the ground. Zell tries to attack once again, but Landgrave blocks his strike with his own sword and pushes him back. He laughs at Zell, claiming that he is not strong enough to face him, while Zell curses the fact that he can't see the moon right now. This time, Landgrave goes on the offensive and tries to attack Zell, who dodges the strike before blocking a strong kick as well. Landgrave immediately throws some daggers, which Zell sidesteps, but Landgrave pushes through and keeps forcing Zell to back up with a barrage of attacks. Landgrave realizes that he needs to do something scummy, so he secretly takes out another dagger and manages to slash Zell across the back. Before he could celebrate, though, Landgrave realizes that even he got slashed in the process. Angry at this disrespect, Landgrave throws caution to the wind and attacks Zell head-on, but this time Zell takes the upper hand and slashes him across the back. He knows that Landgrave charges in headfirst whenever he gets angry, so he provokes him even more, which ends up working as Landgrave goes all in to land a hit, only to get slashes across his body multiple times. This turns into an all-out bloodbath as both Zell and Landgrave attack each other again and again without any breaks, when suddenly Landgrave realizes that these attacks seem familiar to him. He backs off and asks from where did he learn these moves, but as soon as Zell takes his stance once again, Landgrave is forced to remember that he is one of the heroes who they killed in order to save themselves. Zell takes advantage of this confusion and uses Landgrave's shock against him as he lands a special attack, stabbing Landgrave all over the body. Landgrave falls to the ground while Zell forces himself to finish the job. Landgrave can't believe his eyes and asks how the hell did Zell manage to stay alive when he was hacked to pieces and thrown off a cliff, but Zell refuses to reply and goes in for the kill shot. Just before he could land the final blow, though, a bunch of armored warrior maidens emerge and block his attacks before surrounding him on all sides. Zell is too tired to fight and collapses on the ground, while Landgrave eagerly asks him for the secret of him looking so young even after 20 years. Zell realizes that Landgrave was using all those demi-human women to reverse his aging, while Landgrave tells the scientists that they have received the perfect specimen to do their experiment. He instructs the scientists to put the cursed bug on him, which will basically make him a slave. But before they could do anything, though, Zell ends up going berserk as a bunch of black tentacles emerge from his body, killing the scientists around him. Landgrave realizes that there is something very wrong and orders the warriors to kill him, but Zell simply laughs and beats the crap out of the woman like an average American redneck. Landgrave starts screaming like a bitch, telling the women warriors to kill the monster, but Zell makes quick work of them and sends them back to the kitchen. Landgrave is horrified at this sight, but before he can run away, a giant boulder falls from the ceiling and crushes him beneath it. Zell laughs like a complete psychopath as he deals death and destruction to everyone around him, making even Wide and Danny scared. But his anger is only towards Landgrave. One of the scientists doesn't know how to read a room and asks whether he could do some experiments on him, and Zell replies by slashing him in half. Landgrave can't believe that this is happening to him and crawls on the floor, while Zell tells him that he is just as big of a scumbag as he was before, which would make it much easier to kill him. Landgrave begs for his life, but Zell slashes his arm off, claiming that there will be no mercy for him. Landgrave again decides to manipulate and gaslight Zell by reminding him of all the times they fought together and helped each other, but unlike my ex, Landgrave is not very good at it, which results in his death as Zell makes Swiss cheese out of him by stabbing him all over the body. Both Wide and Danny watch in horror as Zell looks down at Landgrave's dead body, claiming that there are still 6 more to go. But soon his powers wear off and he falls to the ground, unconscious. Danny quickly grabs him and realizes that his body is too thin and weak. She starts panicking, but her older sister tells her not to worry as Zell will survive this. According to her, he ended up losing control over his powers and releasing a large amount of it at once, but he should recover with enough rest. That was a relief, but the problems don't seem to end as the cave starts giving way and the water from a nearby lake starts rushing inside the halls. Danny immediately carries Zell over her shoulder, runs towards the exit, followed by Wide and Sharon. And on the way, they also spot the Centurion, who still can't get over the death of Fargo and ends up dying in the collapsing tunnels. Somehow, White and Danny make their way through the complex cave system and find their dragon before launching into the skies once again to run as far as possible. The guards watch the dragon soar in the sky, which confuses them, and they quickly start searching the castle for Landgrave, which gives Zell and his party enough time to disappear in the mountains.